Hello, welcome Red Spotters. Now here is your podcast.
Hello, Red Spotters. Welcome back to the program. I am your host, Kyle Lira, and today I have, as always, Alexis Soto. How are you doing, Alexis?
I am doing amazing. Deadpool was great. I'm literally on a high right now.
And for the first time in forever,
Really.
I have Peter Martinez. You may know him from the couple of After Darks we have done, but he has never been on our physical podcast. So for his first time, hello, Peter.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's great, Peter. This is great. All right. We just last night we just got back from Deadpool, and as per always, we talk about that shit.
We did a million reviews.
Literally like that. We have After Dark coming pretty soon. We have all the good
and regular reviews on BNC.
All the good shit on the BNC. So check that out.
So what? This makes it number 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a new hope, if you will.
Are we going to do an audio drama next?
Yes, we're going to do an audio drama of Deadpool. No, we're going to do Deadpool abridged.
Audio commentary.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Maybe later.
Sneak into the movie theater.
Yeah, come into the movie.
Take all this shit with us.
Yeah, take this shit with us.
Sneak in the audio equipment. That'd be great.
That's nice.
And just whisper everything.
Okay, I like that part. I like how they did this. That's great. Yeah.
The way they did this shot is incredible.
It's like
that would be so. Oh my god, we would never do that. That would be stupid.
It would be funny though. It would lend itself to great, humor.
Yeah.
It'll be like a golf commentators.
Yeah, that's right.
He's gonna reach the corner puck where he's gonna say the F word 3 times, and then he does this thing in the bathroom, and then he faints, and he has cancer. And
Cancer is hilarious.
It is hilarious.
In the arms of the angel.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, so Deadpool has come out, and it is as good as we had hoped, even more so.
And this is the
probably
coming out party.
So without further ado, here comes Red Spotlight number 19. X gon' give it to ya.
I didn't ask to be super, and I'm no hero. But when your worst enemy is after your best girl, it's time to be a superhero. Let's get out there and make a difference. X gon' give it to ya. He gon' give it to ya. X gon' give it to ya. He gon' give it to ya. Wait, did I leave the stove on? Deadpool.
You look like an avocado had sex with an older avocado.
Thank you.
Rated R.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. First, we're going to go into spoiler-free discussion, and then after that, we're going to go into the nitty-gritty and go into full-fledged spoilers. So, without a doubt, let's get into the story so far. The story is about mercenary Wade Wilson. he's fallen head over heels for this girl named Vanessa, and together throughout the span of, I think it's a little over a year, they have this formidable relationship, and one day out of the blue it turns out that he has cancer. Every single part of his body pretty much has cancer in him. So what he does is that he goes through a risky experiment to eliminate the cancer inside of him. But meanwhile, there's a sadistic person by the name of Ajax, or Francis, if you will.
I thought you said no spoilers.
And he well, that's not really a spoiler. And throughout the whole entire movie, he's trying to find this guy, and it's a revenge story, and he's trying to get back to his girl. And that's where I'll stop here without further exploiting every single detail of the movie. What did you think of the story, guys?
It was a story.
It was an origin story film
About a man named Brady?
It would have worked if he hadn't said something first.
Yeah,
Then he said something.
Yeah, yep.
To them.
Yeah. It's another origin story, essentially. But what's really amazing is that we've now had so many comic book movies and so many origin stories. The same old ain't gonna cut it anymore. And when you really think about Deadpool, this movie, the last thing that comes to mind, it's an origin story. That's how good it is. That's in the back of your mind because there's so much new material and first for a comic book movie in this movie that it kind of overshadows that.
It kind of lends itself to a sort of refurbishment to the comic book brand.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not a big fan of origin stories anymore.
I don't think any of us are
like
at this point.
Any superhero movie going forward does not need an origin movie.
Especially Spider-Man.
Especially Spider-Man. But I'm thinking of every comic book movie going forward. Mm-hmm. None of them need an origin.
We're past that at this point.
But I will say, except for Deadpool. Because Deadpool is just such an off-the-wall character.
Yeah.
Without giving him an origin, just explaining who he is, it wouldn't work. Immediately people would be like, well, why is he acting this way? Why is he ugly? Why is he
and why
doing
does
everything?
Exactly. I'm not sure there's spoilers to say why this character is unique yet.
I think we'll save that for spoilers.
But when we get there, I mean, Peter is 100% right. This character is 100% unique, and this is a lane that he owns unto himself that no other comic book character that I know of can even compete with. So, but again, like I said, there is just so much new material used in here. You forget that it's an origin story. That's what's great about it.
Yeah.
And not giving away the whole movie, but the sequence of events in the movie also lend to not your typical origin story.
Yeah, that's true.
It's interesting, and in a lesser filmmaker, it probably wouldn't have worked.
See, it's an isolated event. All the things that happen unto because storyline.
When you put the movie in sequential order, it's probably not that interesting.
Probably.
And not as, what's the word?
Riveting.
Not as riveting. And also, it won't capture you as much. It'll feel very been there, done that. But because of the character and just the way in which they sort of flash back to earlier things and then flash forward and just weave throughout the story like that, and all the fourth wall breaking, it doesn't feel like an origin story. It just feels like a Deadpool movie.
It feels like more of a solid story.
Yeah.
In terms of that kind of retrospect. I mean, I like the fact that, that it jump cut between, present and then flashback.
Yeah.
And I think that was and by and large, even though as goofy as it is a romance story.
It is.
I love the romance.
At its backbone, it's a romance story.
And by the way, now that we think about it, no other other comic movie has done this. Like,
With the
this
exception of Spider-Man.
jump cut thing back and forth.
Oh, in terms
Man
of
of
that.
Steel.
Man of Steel did that?
Yeah.
It did do that.
On what part? I don't recall.
The beginning, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He was like that music.
I only saw it one time like years ago.
And then he's like, "Why am I so tragic?" And then like, "Oh, because I'm."
Because you're directed by Zack Snyder. That's why you're so tragic.
The funny thing is, though, for that movie, that was probably my favorite parts of that movie. Man
The
of Steel.
origin parts.
Yeah, when he's a
Yeah.
little kid.
That was good. That was a strong sequence.
Like that
Yeah.
the one part where like his X-ray vision, he could see inside people, like how like terrifying that is as a kid. That was one of the like most creative parts of Man of Steel. I was like, oh, that's cool.
What yeah.
And again, the jump cuts make sense because it's Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You automatically buy it.
And I like the fact that, you know, his character is driving the movie literally.
Everything. It drives the whole narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that was very creative. And speaking of creative, just the jokes, the quirkiness
Oh my god.
of it all.
The self-awareness of
Yeah.
the studio. I mean, how many jokes attacked the studio itself and then for its own failures? I mean... Well, technically speaking, I forget that Green Lantern was with the Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Well, they must not have been happy.
Wait, what? No, it wasn't.
It was
Green
not?
Lantern wasn't. Green Lantern is DC.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Warner
Yeah,
Brothers
but
and DC.
DC is owned by Warner Brothers.
Fox runs
Marvel. This Marvel.
Fox runs the mutants.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, different. But I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah, but you know, I think that this film kind of lent itself to this kind of division. You know,
Well, from what everyone tells me, because I haven't read the comic book, I knew of this character and what he had because of information beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be fair to say that this is the comic book, literally in movie form.
yeah.
Like, this is the character. This is what he would do, and everything that happens.
Except there's no text bubble. I would have
Well,
I would have loved to see the text bubble in the film.
It would have been funny.
No,
they
it would've,
could have
yeah.
done a little one-off joke, like he swatted it away or something.
Like, he's like, no, it's not that kind of. We're not a comic book.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are parts
but-
there were like some parts where he's actually like, you know, moving the camera.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
like there in the beginning scene, like he got gum stuck to the lens,
yeah.
and he's like cleaning it off,
Yeah.
and it's just. And he, like, when Colossus, he came in and he's like, you know, who are you talking to? I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them. You know, just that kind of, just these little details, you know, that lent itself to the exploitation of this character was really well done. You know,
it shouldn't be understated that this is an R-rated movie.
yeah,
Which is rare these
it's
days.
a hard R.
Yeah. But again, it does justice to the character. In order for it to have been the successful the way it is, R was the correct rating.
It emphasized, you know, the Deadpoolness,
Yeah.
you know, and if it was a PG-13, it wouldn't have packed that.
I don't think
punch,
it would have been the same, honestly.
You know,
I probably would have been okay with it,
But it wouldn't have been the way that the success I'd say that it is now.
It wouldn't at all,
no.
because just so many of the jokes require an R rating.
Yes, and not
And I
just
just-
that, but then the violence.
So I started thinking, you strip away everything that we would require you to strip away for it to be PG-13.
Yeah.
And it would be a shell of what it used to be.
The violence you see in this movie can be compared to like a Tarantino film, a Matthew Vaughn film, and then also the Netflix Marvel shows like Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
You know what's funny? I actually think Deadpool is less violent than all of those.
That's true.
I was actually
That's true,
surprised.
but
I mean, that scene with Wilson Fisk when he's
Yeah,
It's funny because I was actually surprised at how non-violent it was.
but there were a
in
lot.
most
But I mean, for a movie that has any Marvel on it, I mean
Yeah.
that's a bit.
I think the most violence came from that one scene, which we'll get into later.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that one scene. Yeah.
yeah, but other than that, I think that it was. I think it's very video game ish. The violence. Not in terms of like looking, but like the terms of content per se.
Perhaps that could be made.
It's like
I don't think so.
Characters. You know, what characters stood out to you? Besides, obviously the merc with the mouth is obviously
the spotlight is always on him. The red spotlight is always on him.
Thank you.
Again, also the movie that will win Best Picture, hopefully, if we're correct. Just a little sidetrack. But the spotlight was on Deadpool. I think everything else is an afterthought, really. But they were all serviceable. There wasn't any one part of the other characters that weren't, like, annoying. But everybody had their role, and all of their roles was to serve Deadpool.
yeah.
So I think they were all fine, and they were good.
I love the love interest, the hot chick.
That's an actual that's an actual love interest that you're invested in.
Yeah, you're definitely
Weirdly
interested
enough.
in that.
Yeah, because you don't usually invest in a lot of romances like Thor and what's her name, Jane Foster.
Well, that's like, if we're talking worse, I think that would Jane or whatever.
I think
and Thor is probably worse. But
and she was actually likable. You know, her character is actually likable.
Very likable.
was she a prostitute, a stripper?
Somewhere around there.
Maybe both. But just them like arguing who
In the
life
comics,
was worse.
she's a prostitute.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I think they said something about, because remember he tried to buy her using what was it, like it was like a Subway card, or I don't know what it was,
With a gift card. With a yogurt
Oh, it was
gift
yogurt,
card.
Yeah, but just like I said, like the way they argue over whose life is worse, and just the way they fit together, you buy into these two crazy people.
I mean, when they there was this one line that was really clever between them two. She was like, "I used to sleep in the dishwasher," and then Wade Wilson was like, "What? You had a dishwasher?"
I think it was the other way around.
One thing we forgot to mention that also contributes to the R-ratedness of this film is the sexual content.
Yeah.
Sexual context, which is much more explicit than we've seen in any other comic book movie ever.
And you know what?
It's good, though.
I'll also say, I actually thought there would be more of that too.
But there was a lot. I mean, we got more sexual stuff in this movie than any other Marvel movie. I mean,
I think if I'm going as far as like sexual like nudity and actual
there was also nudity.
There was
in
probably
this movie.
only 2 big scenes.
There was,
and even then, it wasn't that bad.
Well, of course not. But I mean, if you try hard enough, you'll find it.
I'm sure you did.
I'm sure. Yeah, it was right there. That's very impressive.
For the third row,
I'm
we
gonna
were.
be honest. I was pretty disappointed. I expected more full frontal from Ryan Reynolds.
You gotta, well, I mean, it can't. You really expect to believe they're gonna have a full shot, like completely. I mean,
Bruno did it.
When?
You see
Bruno. I think I meant Bruno. Okay,
Mars.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that
Uptown Funk don't give it to you, right?
Was it Sacha Baron Cohen?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I did that Bruno movie. That was a long time ago at this point.
Not that long.
But anyway, characters. We have Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Oh my gosh, she was great. I liked her a lot. I mean, I loved how Deadpool like pegged her and like she had no comeback.
Yeah,
I loved that. But she was nice, yeah.
Because she's like the cliche, teen, angsty teen, and all that stuff. She's like, oh, and when you get all this stuff, and just nailing on to the average teen.
Which we see a lot in movies.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden she's like, damn, I got nothing.
I mean, that's what it is.
We have the moral compass, Colossus in the film, which I think was funny. His character is funny just because of how conservative he is.
So he's like the Captain America of this this movie.
Yeah. Blind Owl.
Blind Owl.
Owl. The blind girl.
Yeah.
The blind woman.
Yeah.
She's hilarious. Actually,
oh my god.
It's funny because the thing that you didn't expect to care a lot about going to this movie is the relationships between the people.
Yeah, that's right.
And you care a lot about Deadpool and his lady
And the people
love.
he cares for.
Yeah,
That's true, yeah.
You care about him and was it Big Al or
Yeah.
but
God, I miss cocaine.
but they really develop a nice little
She broke
relationship.
the fourth wall within the fourth wall. That's like what, 16 walls?
Oh my god.
But like just they
We need to see it again, right?
yeah.
Let's sneak in the equipment and let's do an audio commentary.
Not only him and TJ Miller, which is his
A weasel,
friend,
yeah.
Slash associate sort of. Because they're you could tell they're really close
That's
friends.
true. Yeah.
You look like
then-
Freddy Krueger fucked the topographical map of Utah.
Wow.
But then he also he bets in him to die.
Yeah.
What a great
So
friend.
it's funny. But he say like yeah, I'm sorry, I just wanted money. Like
I just never win at anything. I thought I would win.
Oh, are we doing spoilers?
Action.
Okay. Okay, back to Colossal. Is that what his name?
Colossus.
Colossal. That I loved, and this moment was executed perfectly. I kind of compare it to the spoilers for Force Awakens, the Han Solo death scene. You know how when Han looks at Ben, like Kylo Ren, you know what's coming, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows what's coming, and you feel it.
But I think that's more of a spoiler. This scene is a spoiler.
You said spoilers.
No, we're not. We're not.
You said action.
Didn't
No.
you say? I thought you said.
No, action. What did you guys think of the action of the film?
Oh my god.
We asked, are we still
I'm
doing
sorry.
spoilers?
I
And
thought
then
you
you
said-
said action.
I thought you said go
meant,
ahead.
like,
Oh.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Okay, the action, Peter.
The action was very well done. Like, very, very
Yeah.
well done.
And by the way, you spoiled The Force Awakens, asshole.
if you haven't seen it by now, you know what? It's your fault, okay? No one... It's your fault.
Should we just go on to spoilers? Because I got so
Okay, first off, what'd you guys think of the action in the movie?
Great.
It was great.
It was great. Yeah.
Well choreographed, well put together. Okay, now spoilers. Okay.
but-
Oh, God.
That one scene that you were talking
what I
about.
was talking about to the whole Han Solo thing. Everybody knew who's gonna die when we see that. When Colossus gives his
Long-winded
those
speech.
4 seconds about what to do, you know what's coming. And what I loved about it, watching it with that audience, you know everybody else is catching on to it because they're starting laughing while he's still speaking. Everybody saw it coming, and then he kills the guy. And that was a great scene right there. I mean, that was just great.
I agree.
Well, go on.
Speaking to the characters, the humor that I just absolutely loved was the way that they would try and connect Deadpool to the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
And the X-Men universe, so first of all, their continuity is just all over the place. It really is. Like, it's...
But you know what? It lends itself to be all over the place.
I will say, looking at the X-Men continuity now, you could probably... The one movie that I think they've just written off completely and is no longer... Even though they won't say it, it's just no longer a part of the continuity, is X-Men Origins Wolverine. Because in Days of Future Past, I think every X-Men movie was referenced except for that movie. And they even used characters from that movie in First Class that does not line up at all. So I think that's the movie they kind of written off.
So essentially, it's been retconned without a formal announcement.
Basically,
Yeah.
that's what they're really.
Well, I
leading
mean,
on
it got
to.
shitty reviews, and the Deadpool in okay, what was the Deadpool in that movie like?
He did not talk.
Okay, they sewed,
Needless to say,
his mouth.
He
He had katanas coming out of his hands,
was like Baraka from Mortal Kombat.
which always, even as a younger, I don't think I was a kid by then. I was probably easily a older teenager. I don't know how. I can't remember how long it came out, but it always made me mad or just confused the shit out of me because I'm like, you have these long blades if they go back in, how does he bend his arm? Like, these are metal blades. Like, where are they going? Because when they come out, like, they were sword's length. It made no sense.
Wasn't there another Wolverine movie?
The Wolverine.
And that one was better?
I love that one.
The ending was a little... I know a lot of people kind of got problems with the ending, but I really liked it. I don't say I loved it, because in some places it kind of...
But it was good. It was solid?
It was a solid film.
Okay.
It was a solid Wolverine film. And no Deadpool in that one. It was very much...
It kind of set the tone for what Days of Future Past would have been.
It fits really nicely into the First Class, X1, X2, all of that. It fits nicely into all that.
What did you think of X-Men 3?
You know, it's funny because when I was little, I just loved movies in general. Yeah. Every movie I saw, I loved.
Yeah,
that's because as you're a kid, you're like that. Yeah. And as you grow up, you realize, like,
yep. Uh-huh.
Oh my god, this is shit.
Uh-huh.
And like, oh, people don't like that movie, and then you watch it again, it's like,
yep.
Okay, oh, I kind of get it now. And
yeah, Phantom Menace right there.
Yep. I didn't know people didn't like Phantom Menace until I read it somewhere. I'm like, people don't like it. I remember,
I know, right? And then we saw it again, and it's like, oh,
it's part of growing up.
Yeah.
But X-Men 3, I think, was one of those movies. I remember watching it as a kid. I'm like, I love X-Men. This is an X-Men movie. I liked it. But, and then I realized people like, oh, like, they shit on it hardcore. And going back and looking at it, I remember after a while, and you realize, like, it's sort of a mess of a movie. It really is a mess of a movie.
Or is it more than lackluster?
It was probably their most ambitious as far as scale and, like, storylines. They just had too much going on.
It was a mess.
Like, that's what, it was a mess.
But it wasn't a disaster like the Origins Wolverine one.
That one, it just gave you nothing to really hold on to. Like, the action was bad. The characters were in there just so randomly. And the story just so blatant, just like get Wolverine from A to B with boring action. Uh-huh. And there is some redeemable things with X-Men 3. I think the opening scene with Angel, where he's like trying to cut his wings off.
Yeah.
And, like, his dad is
he's trying to free it.
No.
Are you
trying
sure?
To cut off his wings because his dad is one of the leading people against mutants, and he's so ashamed of who he is and he doesn't want his father to know. And it's so, like, interesting the pain that this kid would go to.
I thought you were
just to hide.
When you said the opening scene, I thought you were referring to the Jean Grey scene when
it starts with Jean Grey
when quote unquote young Xavier
and X-Men 3 is part of the official X-Men canon. But that also doesn't make sense either, because in the beginning he's walking.
Well, technically speaking, all of the other Whiskers, stop it! You're interfering with the search and rescue.
Just close the window.
Close the window.
But technically speaking, all the other movies aren't canon anymore.
With the X-Men series, it's the only ones where I'm like, just don't think about it.
That's why, honestly, I try to avoid them, because they really confuse me, all the timelines.
It honestly,
but I get that.
I'll show them to you in an order that will make most sense. I'll do
but,
that.
But I mean, I kind of want to see them in the order it was intended to be. I mean,
they were never intended to be in any.
They weren't.
Well, I mean, Fox didn't have a plan. Like, movies were just kind of
at that point. That's true. Yeah. At that point,
so if you see them in the right order, it'll all be.
Wasn't good. Like the very first X-Men, like one of the very first ever, like, I would say, great superhero movies.
The way to see it is X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 3. Where would I go after that? I'd probably go First Class, Wolverine, and then Days of Future Past
and Apocalypse.
Which is the way they pretty much release them, except just take out X-Men Origins completely.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch that at all. But like I said, X-Men 3, that one scene is redeemable. Beast, I think, is actually really cool in that movie. played by Frasier.
See,
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer. There is some things in there that are actually really cool.
What I want to know is, how is Deadpool going to fit into all of this?
I think Famke Janssen was amazing as Jean Grey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But her whole Dark Phoenix, or just the Phoenix in general storyline, is kind of dumb. The way they portrayed it, I think, as far as for what both of you are saying, I think that kind of goes into the one thing, because you're saying her Jean Grey storyline, and you're asking where they go next. Mm-hmm. I think X-Men is going to take another shot at that Jean Grey storyline.
Interesting.
I think that's where they're going next with this. After Apocalypse, because they introduced a new, younger Jean Grey into this, to Apocalypse. Played by, I forget her name.
So when they become when all the X-Men,
and I think Deadpool is going to be in that movie.
So when
which one? The one following Apocalypse.
The one following Apocalypse.
How are they going to handle that aspect of it, though? I mean,
because X-Men movies typically are PG-13.
Yeah, they're on the level of Marvel movies.
Do you think he's just going to show up as cameo, or?
I think he's going to be sort of like Quicksilver was in Days of Future Past. Like he comes in, has a badass scene, and then he's kind of out of the movie.
They have to handle him right.
But if the movie is so successful, they might try to make him a key player. If it makes as much money as what we're seeing, if it makes like a shit ton of money,
they would tone down the language. I think at some point.
Well, he's self-referencing. Like he can be like try to cuss, and he's like, oh shit, this is a PG-13 movie. Like they bleep it every time he says the F word. He's like, oh, I guess I can't cuss. But would that take away from
the seriousness of X-Men?
No.
Would it?
No, because the thing about, with Deadpool, though, is that because of the oxygen that went through his head, he is certifiably insane.
Oh,
so
to them, he's a psychopath.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, so they don't know when he's talking about all the people who are reading the comic books or anything like that.
It's like the Joker, except you're not as scared.
Yeah.
So I definitely think he can, and I think this movie definitely showed that you can fit him into a PG-13 film.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it because when he was cussing as they're fighting, and Colossus is like, the language, and he's like, oh, fuck you. And he says something like that. It's hilarious. And I think you can definitely see them doing something, it won't automatically become a Deadpool movie the second he's on screen, but they'll have a couple of things
for him to do.
Like I said, he might try and start to cuss, but it bleeps.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit, I forgot it's PG-13. They're little things here and there, but then it'll go back to...
Or it'd be cool. I remember watching a Jeremy Johns, trailer reaction review or whatever. Mm-hmm. Whatever shit like that. And he's saying it would be funny if he would have gotten the boom mic, and started using it as a weapon.
Yeah, that's true.
But I would much rather see that. That's the kind of humor you hold for Deadpool 2, not an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
They can I definitely think they need a couple of those self-referencing sort of fourth wall breaking jokes, but just a couple. I don't think if they push it too far, it could take you out of the movie.
If he's walking if he walks too far, he bumps into the green screen and he knocks it down. Yeah. And he's I'm sorry, guys.
I think that's too far for an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
But a Deadpool movie, hilarious, I think. But as far as fitting him into the X-Men universe, all Fox
it could be done.
All Fox has right now is X-Men. And honestly, that's probably all they're good at.
Gambit. They have Gambit.
They have Gambit coming out.
Deadpool.
They have Deadpool. And they definitely are betting big on those two. And
I mean, look,
one of those
if they could do Fan Four Stick right,
I know they're not.
But if they could do them justice, they're not going to do it. But if they had
justice, anyway, go on.
If that movie had been successful, you would have seen them eventually cross over.
Yeah,
but I think at this point we're not betting.
But I never wanted that to begin with, because. The Fantastic Four...
But they would have done it. They would have done it either way. If those movies would have been successful, they would have crossed over X-Men and Fantastic Four, because that is, aside from the X-Men, their biggest name for Marvel.
But to me, an X-Men and Fantastic Four crossover really means nothing. Because the Fantastic Four are like, oh, these 4 people with powers. Next to these millions of people with powers. So what does 4 more people mean, really?
Yeah,
Like,
in the grand scheme of things. It's like, that's why
really
I'm kind of
means
nervous
nothing.
about this whole Inhumans thing. Because now everybody, especially watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., practically everybody is turning into an Inhuman. So I'm kind of concerned about the Inhumans in that kind of retrospect.
I think they can make it work. With
Because
humans.
because looking at from the first from Iron Man, when it was revealed that there were others out there, I thought it was just going to be this exclusive group of superheroes out there, and that would have made the.
But honestly, Kyle, that's feeding into the narrative where the MCU is at. Civil War, the narrative of that movie is going to be where it's at because it's not just the Inhumans. There's Ant-Man. There's the twins, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and then of course the Inhumans add on to that. That's part of the narrative. That's where Civil War is at where it's at because people are sick and tired of so many superpowered people coming left and right. So I mean, I think the MCU has made that work for them and their stories, but that's separate from what we're talking about: Deadpool and X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
which I'm fairly certain that at one point the Fantastic Four are going to go back to Marvel. I mean, the Marvel with Disney. I mean, why even bother anymore?
It's interesting that Marvel is allowing them to make a couple of TV shows. You have to wonder what Marvel got for that. Which
look,
they deny they got back Fantastic Four, but Fantastic Four is a property that I believe belongs at Marvel.
Yeah,
it fits much better. The comic version fits so much better into
the Disney.
Yeah. But not just that, Galactus. If they get the Fantastic Four rights back, they have Galactus, and they have somebody to build on Thanos.
You got Phase 4, 5, and 6.
Exactly.
And not just that, you have potential, a Silver Surfer story, and you have all these other different properties. I mean, dude, it writes itself.
I mean, Phase 4, Fantastic Four.
Okay, Deadpool. But as I was saying with X-Men, I think they're gonna, because all they have right now is the mutants, and I'm glad that Fox has the mutants because, like we're alluding to with Marvel, it might just be way too overcrowded.
And humans and mutants in one universe would be like, what? Okay, seriously, now it's good that they're separated.
Yeah, and if Fox didn't have them, we would never get an Inhumans.
I mean,
movie.
really, they're the same thing except they're called Inhumans and Mutants on two different universes. I mean, really.
But I like what they've been doing with, for the most part, Fox has been doing with X-Men, and especially now, very recently in these last few years, they've been really knocking it out of the park with all their X-Men movies.
I think,
and they're gonna try and make their own little universe. So they're gonna, like I said, I think they're gonna have an X-Force movie. They're gonna have a Deadpool sequel. They're gonna have
an X-Force movie. Sounds badass.
Do you know what X-Force is?
No.
How do I explain it?
It has Domino, Cable, it has Deadpool.
It's sort of like maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, little Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy, little like in there.
Yeah,
like mash them together. You have the band Misfit Toys, and then you have the Suicide Squad, and you put them together, and you get basically the X-Force. Okay. And in fact, that's the first canon appearance of Deadpool's character.
So I really think they're gonna just throw out and try to make as many different X-Men properties out of this.
And we have to recall it's a studio. They want to make more movies for money. And they're going to find a way to make as many more. They want their own Marvel Universe at this point. But that's why they wanted to fish into Fantastic Four, but it blew up in their faces. Again.
That's why Studio C, people love Deadpool. And if this movie is successful, as it is good...
Yeah.
He will be in that next X-Men movie. He will be in X-Force, and he will have his sequel.
But I think I think it's rare for the three of us to be in complete agreement about any one movie. I think we all have our differences for most movies, but I think we're all of the mind. This was an excellent film, and we loved it.
I mean, the humor was delivered, fantastically. I think that the action was well shot. I think the casting was damn unbelievable.
And that's just scratching the surface. The detail they added in this movie.
Like there was this one part, where he was like, for the self-referential humor that they had, let's go, and Colossus is dragging him across the street, and he's like saying, I'm taking you back to Xavier, and he's like, which one, McAvoy or and I know you're making fun of me. Stop it.
Isn't it McAvoy?
Whatever.
McAvoy.
McAvoy.
I am a robot.
McAvoy.
Which one, McAvoy or Stewart, and just little things like that, or when he personally went to a Charles Xavier's house and he knocked on the thing and then
Niggas Teenage Warhead
opened up the door and he's like, "There's only 2 of you here." It's like the studio couldn't afford another X-Men. Just stuff like that just shows to you the detail that they wrote into the thing. I mean, one of Wade Wilson's prized possessions is X-Men Origins Deadpool action figure, and I find that so funny. All the reference to the 80s music, Wham, Chicago, and Green Lantern. There was like a picture. There was like a Green Lantern baseball card during the opening sequence. That was funny.
We said it again, and we'll say it as many times as we want to. The opening credits, along with the opening sequence, one of the best in any movie I've seen ever.
And I like the part where he's like, "What do you call your name, Toots?" And then she's like, "My name is Negasonic Teenage Warhead." Negasonic, what the shit? That's awesome. It is clear to say that Ryan Reynolds was born to play Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
Just this humor that he has, and also there's this one part that kind of gets you choked up when he was like saying like she already has a plan A through Z. When she's talking to the doctor about the cancer and all that stuff. But
I felt that, man.
But really, all I could focus on was how beautiful she looked. Like it's the first time I saw her.
See, on one side of it, people would have the conception or the preconceived notion that this movie is going to be all laughs. But in the middle of the movie, it takes a turn in tone.
It has heart.
Yeah. Like you care the relationships because there's heart at the middle of everything going on.
All in all, it is a like I said before, the backbone of the movie is a love story.
But can I just ask this? Has anyone recalled being in a theater with an audience and seeing a movie where everybody can...
That is so in tune with what's going on.
Yeah, but I have never experienced such consistent laughter. Like, everybody got all of the jokes. Like, all throughout the movie.
I mean, it kind of helped because all of them were Deadpool fans.
Yeah.
Well, the vast majority of them. But
I mean, all of them clapped when they saw Stanley.
I mean, Marvel fans. I think this movie has a broad appeal, honestly. Most R-rated movies don't.
One of the best Stan Lee cameos ever.
You know what's funny? And I think I've been hearing this, that like a large majority of people not familiar with Deadpool think it's like a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
I think they may have had a lot to do with it,
because
honestly.
think about it, like you look at something like Guardians of the Galaxy and the way the trailers and the music is, and
it had an 80s kind of song.
I mean,
and then
look, take me as an example. This was my first non-Disney Marvel movie, and why I wanted to see this, because just knowing what the character is from what you told me and seeing the trailers, I could tell it was going to be a lot of fun. And if this was the one movie out of any of the non-Disney Marvel movies that were like the easiest to get into, and I think a lot of people felt that way. And I went into it and I had an absolute blast. And it didn't bother me at all that it was a completely different universe. In fact, it may have enhanced the experience for me, knowing that it was on a different timeline or whatever.
Actually, I just love it because all those parents taking their kids.
Oh my!
They're like, all right.
Like I saw like a little 8-year-old with his dad there, and then all of a sudden there's
really
yeah. I think it was like in the row behind us.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Where we sat. I mean, it was nice. I mean, but oh my god, to see a movie like this, I had to get up at one point. I was having like a cramp or a spasm. Like my neck was hurting. That's what we get for being late.
I think that, and also, there's a lot of nudity in it. But
honestly,
not a lot.
A lot more.
But you know what? It's not gratuitous nudity.
Look, the violence, the sexual, like the nudity and the language it's not that much in your face like you're expecting it to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a lot more than what you see in any other Marvel movie.
But I also got to give the filmmakers props to that, because any other filmmaker would be like, oh yeah, we'll just do it like
crank it up to 100 all the time.
Maybe like a Seth Rogen summer comedy. Yeah. We just have them saying like dick jokes, and then just not much heart really.
I mean, there were dick jokes, but it was cleverly done.
It was just like throw them a bunch of naked chicks, all that stuff. But everything was cleverly done, and it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't gratuitous. It wasn't in your face like, oh, look at this.
Look at boobies.
Look at boobies. You're like,
I just had a sinful thought.
You have a lot of those.
Imagine if M. Night Shyamalan had directed this movie.
Don't
I don't even
dare.
know what you're trying to get at with that.
I don't know. It's just a thought that came in my head.
Like a lot of over-the-shoulder, far-away shots. They're all like looking deadpan into the screen, just whispering.
Oh my god.
So today we're going to be doing...
I lost my love today.
I lost my love today. This is
No, you know what? I like The Visit. I'm not going to make fun of that. I like that movie.
The Sixth Sense, have you seen that one?
I've seen all his movies.
Oh, okay, Mr.
But what were we talking about? Deadpool. Yeah. But yeah, like I was saying, like they could have, like I was saying during our BNC spoiler talk, when they had that one sex scene, it wasn't, a lot of movies could have done it over the top and overblown and like laugh, ha ha ha, they're having a lot of sex.
Easily could have been
easily done it, but they did it in a very touching way, in a very funny way, but not like it's not funny because like, aha, they're having sex. It's funny in like the
because it kind of builds their character,
their characters and why they're right for each other, and it shows the passage of time.
Yeah,
and it's great like that, and also
because there was this one scene where he's eating her out, and he has
are we rated R?
And he
yeah, we are.
and he has a vampire teeth, you know.
But you don't know.
He's like, oh,
you don't need Halloween. Oh, yeah, he's like, Happy Halloween.
He's like, oh, sorry, Happy Halloween. and then there was this one scene when during Lent.
That one made me laugh. Because that's the one time they're not having sex. They're just reading a book, holding hands. They're like, oh, Happy Lent.
And then they go into Thanksgiving, and then.
But it's funny, and also like with all of the.
They're eating mashed potatoes.
But like all the like dick jokes and all that, like it's very clever. It's not just like dick, ha 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 ha. Like when he has a little hand, it's like it's gonna feel big because he got his hand
he's like, it has the functionality of a KFC spork.
Look, the humor is really things. I've never seen you laugh.
It's
so
dirty,
hard in a movie.
but it's creative.
It's creatively dirty.
It's creatively dirty, and I think that's the best kind of humor. Creatively dirty humor.
And give a lot of props to Tim Miller, man. This is his first movie ever.
You know what? There's gonna be so many. Everyone's gonna be after him.
Yeah,
after this
like,
movie.
Wow,
he's just made his career with this movie.
This is definitely a good movie to start your career with.
Oh my god!
Look, I think Kyle put it perfectly when he said this is a movie made by fans for fans.
Yeah.
Oh heck yes!
And I think just everything about it. I mean, it is hard to pinpoint a flaw now, but I think because of the nature of the film, I think that it is. I think it buries all the flaws because
I don't see any. Well, of course, there are like minor flaws, but I don't think.
I'm trying to think of what I would change,
but it's hard because
and I can't think of a thing I would change.
I mean, like I think the one thing we all keep pointing to, the one if anything negative about this is that there may be a certain type of audience that may not at all get the movie.
Yeah.
Though there will definitely be an audience. There's like
that won't get this at all.
Yeah.
And I think they just won't like any of it, really.
But I'm trying to think of it like fundamentally as a movie, and
That's
it
true.
being what it set out to do.
Yeah. What it set out to do, I think it checked every box.
I guess you could say maybe some people might say like the villains are weak, but
they are there just to be the villains, and
I
a
think
Deadpool.
that's the joke.
Yeah.
like
That's
in the beginning,
joke, Francis. Yeah,
it's like
the British villain.
the British bad guy.
like every other movie.
That's part of the joke.
But
I mean,
I actually
but he
there's
was
that actor Ed Skrein. I've seen him in several other things. I think this was my favorite thing he was in, mainly because he just had to be like
hashtag favoritist.
fuck you. Okay, he just had to be really like emotionless. He's like, I don't feel shit. I can do what I want. And honestly, he was like, I've seen like a lot of like
He was
I've
a
seen-
dick.
Let me say this. Put it this way. I have seen every Saw film, like in a row.
How many of them are there?
There's like 7. I don't know. A lot of torture, a lot of blood, but nothing really made me squirm like that. That device he had, where you're basically choking indefinitely, and he like to just like I'm just getting like chills, like thinking like if I were in that position to be placed even over a weekend, just constantly.
He's like, and then when he's like, "Have a good weekend,"
for
and then
death.
and then that face that Ryan Reynolds gave,
like
he was like,
yeah.
he's like, "Bitch, for a weekend."
But I'm just thinking, like, to be put through the shit he put through, like, it made me think, like, it made the villains a little bit better than what he could have been. Like you said, like, they could have just got a random guy, like,
But
I'm the bad guy. But he really gave himself, like, a certain personality, which was none. Like, he feels nothing, but god damn it if you say his name. You know?
I like the.
It gave me enough of
there.
him, I
There
guess
was and it lent himself to be picked on easily by Wade Wilson, because if you hate him, if Wade Wilson hates him, then everybody will hate him, kind of thing. I love the part where he's like,
I think he's the perfect foil because he feels nothing,
Yeah.
Like his humor, Deadpool isn't gonna make him smirk or laugh. It's
Yeah.
just gonna piss him off.
I think it was funny because he's like, "What's your name?" "My name is Ajax." He's like, "Oh, he got his name from a soap soap detergent."
Honestly, now that you say it, I think I heard his laugh in the movie theater when that joke happened. I'm gonna be honest.
What did it sound like?
His laugh,
That?
yeah, but like 20 times louder. I swear, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I heard his laugh.
Yeah, I think you would have.
I think that's one of the funniest jokes in the movie.
I think for
It
the
was
podcasters that may want to give some context how far away we were. We were at the bottom row,
Yeah.
and Peter was like all the way at the top,
yeah.
and that's how loud. Yeah, and I sat next to him, of course. So.
But yeah, as far as
No, but you were dying.
that,
Like it was killing you.
This was
That was
a
a very
funny
fun-
movie.
Yeah.
but that certain complaint that people might have, like, oh, the villains aren't that strong. They're as strong as they need it to be, I think.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
this movie isn't called Ajax; it's called Deadpool.
Yeah.
And for what I was given, I enjoyed it. The as far as the villains go, like there's some movies, like certain movies that I like, where I'm like, I do wish that villain was stronger. Like I would say Guardians of the Galaxy.
I mean, there was enough to him that was more than just serviceable.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, a lot of Marvel movies, especially, have. Okay, how many are we at this point? 18?
Mm-hmm.
Throwaway villains? I mean, look at Ant-Man. Look at all of them, really. It's just.
With the exception of Loki. Really.
Yeah. Do we count the Winter Soldier?
You know what? If you count the Winter Soldier, I would. He's one of my favorite movie villains because he's basically the Winter Soldier was like the best Terminator movie since Terminator 2. If you just take those Winter Soldier aspects of it, let's be honest.
That's funny shit right there.
That's true though. Like he's goddamn scary in that movie. So as far as villains, I think some people might have that complaint, but
Yeah.
it's I
But
really
really,
agree with it.
it's minuscule.
It's so minuscule.
And
It's the kind of movie this is. It's funny because any complaint that you might have about it, you could push it away with saying like, oh, but they meant to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because
like having a typical story with a damsel in distress, you could say like, yeah, that's kind of them mocking like typical superhero movies.
Yeah, I mean,
but in another way, you could be like,
and the fact that it's so self-aware, and sometimes they would reference the flaws of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that I think it kind of helped the emphasis of it. You know,
Didn't T.J. Miller say one time to move the plot along?
Yeah, let's move the plot along.
No, I think he said, go talk to that guy. He's like, I don't know, but it might help the plot move along or something. When he went to talk to Jared from Subway.
Just jokes
We're
like
not
that.
holding back, are we?
Just jokes like that. It's funny.
Wow. But
He's like, you sound. He's like, how does that sound to you, Mr. Wilson? And then obviously he's like, you sound a bit like an infomercial, not like lamb chop, but more like shake wiggy. You know, just I don't know. Jokes like that just made this movie for me. Every shape and form. You know, the characters, the interactions. I loved specifically. I was surprised. I thought she was just gonna be the cliched black woman of the movie, but I think that
the blind.
But I think Blind Al was freaking hilarious. Like
They
set
have
up
her
the
setting up in
a
IKEA,
freaking-
a blind woman setting up in IKEA.
that sounds like a punchline to a joke.
To her credit, she got relatively far.
She's like, why do
She
you?
did get pretty far.
She's like, why do you sound like you have a dick in your mouth? And then in the part where she was like, Blind Al, yeah, that Blind Al, and then it cuts to her, and she's like, my God, I miss cocaine.
I mean,
The last scene with her, it's like the cure for blindness is under.
it's hidden.
He's like, I have 1,000 pounds of cocaine hidden somewhere near the cure to blindness.
Yeah, but the one joke I just thought that was funny was, I don't know, what was the women henchman to Ajax when she was
Angel Dust.
When she was fighting
Colossus.
and like her boob fell out.
Yeah.
And he in his hand is like covering it, like, whoa, like just kind of like fix it so we can go back to fighting.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you are a beautiful woman. And she's like, oh, thank you. And she's like
so sweet.
hits
And then
him in the
freaking
dick. I was like, that's messed up. He was being a gentleman. Like he was stopping the fight just so you could fix yourself. But just showing the difference between
the part where he's after the female twin assassins.
Oh, yeah,
in that
he's
warehouse.
like-
He's like, is it sexist if I kill you? Is it sexist if I don't kill you? I mean, I'm so confused. And he just, he's like aiming the gun like he's gonna kill him anyway.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, it's Deadpool.
And I love the fact that on his wall of victims that he's killing to lead to Francis. I love the fact that he doesn't have a photo of them, but he just draws what they look like.
With something, he has the photos, but I think he just ran out and he just started drawing pictures.
Yeah, he just started, coloring it, and just small little things like that.
So I think I'm a big believer in you really can't rate all movies on the same scale.
Yeah.
Because movies just set out to do so many different things. And as far as what this movie set out to do and be, it accomplished it like by a long shot.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really hard to find a flaw with it, because anything you can say is a flaw with a typical movie, that's not what this movie set out to do, you know? So this isn't a typical movie.
No,
So
it's not.
A flaw for a typical movie can't really apply here because that's not what it's trying to do. Like, having it all a coherent story, like, that's not Deadpool. Like, he's gonna flash back and talk about earlier and then fast forward. I mean, it never gets, get you confused, but someone who's used to, someone who's used to just the regular form of storytelling in movies, that could, piss him off and be like, It was too.
What the fuck movie?
Yeah, they'd be like, it's all over the place. You know, why is there randomly cartoons popping in when he got stabbed in the head?
That was, but and it played to Chicago. That was funny. Just you're my inspiration.
So I would say you judge a movie by what it sets out to do, and that's why this movie is like an A+ because it delivered everything it set out.
The film was well edited to fit the standards of, you know, and all that stuff, and it was edited with Adobe Premiere. That was cool.
Well, that's another thing I love about this movie. It's made so cheaply.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't like this new thing in Hollywood where like a good, you know, sort of blockbustery movie a good one can't be made unless you give them $100 million.
Yeah.
You can't make anything good without $100 million.
I think it's kind of because Star Wars kind of set that, you know, that kind of format, because
I don't know if Star Wars said it.
The first one.
A New Hope?
Yeah.
That movie was
a cheap movie.
I mean,
that movie went over budget.
It went over budget.
It went over budget.
Way over budget. They gave him $100 million to make it.
Star Wars: A New Hope.
Yeah.
100 million.
And then at the end, it came around a subtotal of 350 million.
I think you need to check that.
In 1977.
In 1977,
you really need to check that, because that is not true.
Star
Wars was made very cheaply.
It's hard to believe.
Star Wars, the original Star Wars, you can basically call an indie movie.
Nobody had any faith in the project. Nobody knew it was really successful.
That was not given a lot of movie whatsoever.
Well, I know that.
Whatsoever. Star Wars was a very small budgeted movie. That's why I'm saying, that's why I like that Deadpool was made this well so cheaply, and hopefully will make so much money, because it'll get hopefully studios to invest in more ideas and more smaller made films like Star Wars was back in the day. We could get another Star Wars when you're investing in much more movies, and movies don't need $100 million to be huge.
We're talking about Hollywood now. I think there's a lot of originality in Hollywood. If you consider originality, but really what the game is right now in Hollywood is adaptations. Adaptations of comic books, adaptations of novels, adaptations or continuations of franchises, sequels, prequels, spin-offs, you name it. That's what Hollywood is focused on right now. And because we're so in that pop culture of it, we rarely get the smaller, more unique, fresh, new ideas that come out of it.
But I also
even Deadpool itself is very creative and original, but it is based off a comic book.
But I also think whenever they do get good ideas, studios say like, well, it can only be done good if we give you like $100 million.
Oh no.
And we're not going to risk that on you. And I feel a lot of movie companies today feel like they said, that you can't make a good movie unless you give it like at least $100 million. And that's BS. And I think we're missing out on a lot of good films that were made on a low budget.
Yeah.
It's like Star Wars, the first Matrix movie,
look,
Deadpool.
I think basically the
District 9, that was a great science fiction film, and it was made for
the gist basically is there's
I didn't really like District 9.
Well, you are wrong.
I think the reason why I hate it so much is because it was supposed to be a Halo movie, but Peter Jackson switched it and made it his own.
I don't think that's a reason to hate it. Watch it again. It's a really good movie.
It got nominated for the Best Picture nomination, right? It did. It got it.
I think it did it.
District 9 got it. It also. It was both.
I will say
it was that and Avatar got nominated for Best Picture.
District 9 was a much better film than Avatar.
Was it? I haven't seen it.
You've never seen
it? In terms of story and what it did, I think
as
so.
As far as a movie, it was better.
But I think I'm just bitter because I want my Halo movie.
Well, don't be a bitter bitch.
That's not a real reason to hate the movie.
That's not a real reason to hate the movie.
It is.
No,
it is.
No.
Okay, it's like being a fan of Mario. Wait, never mind. They got their movie.
You're still wrong.
Anyway, look, there are not enough good things to say about this movie, but I think, and we had this discussion earlier. We strongly believe that after one viewing of this film, I think it ranks up there with one of the best comic book movies thus far.
I haven't had that much fun in a comic book movie since Iron Man.
Iron Man?
The first Iron Man.
I'm trying to think. What was the last one I had the most fun in?
Well, it depends what you mean by fun. Like
I walked out like, whoa.
The last one that I was so pumped out of was The Winter Soldier. But that's a different kind of fun. It was more of a thriller, espionage thing.
That's true.
Fun, I would say Guardians.
Yeah, the Guardians was
the one that
kick-ass.
To me, the reason why, I mean, I've had fun with other comic book movies, but the thing with the other thing with Deadpool is that it was a new kind of fun, you know, and I haven't had that kind of new kind of fun since the first Iron Man, you know. So have we run out of things to say about Deadpool?
I think at this point,
I mean, it's funny.
Deadpool 2 is on the way.
Deadpool 2.
Deadpool.
Oh, the post-credit scene.
Oh god, no.
What did we think of the end credit scene?
It was great. One of the best ever.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it shot for shot, you know, was the end credit scene from a Ferris Bueller, which is the first popular end credit scene in cinema history. So just one
of the first.
Yeah. So I think that you know, just riffing off of that, and now that there's a new now that there's promises of and expectations for the sequel with Cable, I am so looking forward to
look.
Keira Knightley and Ryan Reynolds, you know, and their interactions with each other as Cable and anyway.
This is just great news, honestly, for comic book movies. And I hope, even though I'm not very invested at all with the DC or Warner Brothers or their comics or their movies, I hope that they have this kind of success. Because I think when all comic book movies do well, everybody wins. And that furthers the genre and it keeps it alive. Suicide Squad looks like it's going to be that same kind of fun. We'll see how Batman v Superman turns out, but I mean, with Deadpool, everybody needs to step up their game because this was a hit.
This was a game, you know, setter.
I love the Deadpool, and it's really hard to just discuss it and review it because there's really not much more you can say than I love it. Go watch it because
yeah, exactly.
There really isn't
because it's a new kind of film.
Yeah. It's really, when you think about it, and you think about all the things we've said so far about this movie, there are so many things about it that make it groundbreaking for a comic book movie.
Not just comic book movie, but movie in general, you know.
Like I said, there's probably two things that I'm most happy that I think Deadpool will really help. And it's like I said, taking more chances and with lowered or
like using the boom mic as a weapon or running into the green screen and saying I'm sorry and
also more R-rated movies.
Yeah,
I think taking more chances in R-rated comic book movies, but also just maybe just R-rated movies in general.
Like a Marvel Punisher movie would be amazing. I know, but like with the creative, you know, consultant of like one of Kevin Feige or something like that, I think that, you know, a Punisher movie would lend itself to something of that nature.
I'm more thinking because it was on the books. Guillermo del Toro was supposed to direct. They had like a dark, what was it? The dark Justice League Dark, and it was supposed to have like what's his name? He had his own TV show, a DC TV show. Constantine. It was supposed to have. It's supposed to have like all the like the dark, like mythical sort of R-rated creatures as a team, and it also had a Swamp Thing, and it had like these different like sort of. Do you know John Constantine?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, like I think he's a really cool character, and to have it all together with Guillermo del Toro.
Is it the same thing as a Keanu Reeves movie?
The comic book character is very different. You'll like it. He's English.
Well, of course.
he is like a frequent smoker and stuff like that, and it's basically like the occult, like Justice League, but the occult, to be directed by Guillermo del Toro. Doesn't that sound like badass?
That sounds pretty cool.
To be rated R, and it's been on the shelf for a while now, and maybe something like this will give them hope. Not hope, but just
a new hope.
God damn it! I should have said hope. I don't want to use the word hope around you anymore ever again. But just reassurance that like this is something that we should be doing, you know, and investing in. The same way after Marvel's The Avengers just hit off, all of a sudden. Everyone needs not a TV, but a movie universe. You know, DC needs it. Transformers needs it. The Universe Monsters or whatever needs it. They're gonna do something with G.I. Joe 2 or whatever.
What the fuck?
Like, everyone needs their movie universe now. And I think, I'm hoping that Deadpool has that kind of influence on movies. Not that that they invest in more like off the wall,
the
maybe
Frozen
R-rated
cinematic universe.
Because kind of,
movies.
if you think about it,
don't push, don't throw the ideas out there. Okay,
why not? The Frozen cinematic.
They're gonna have an Olaf spin-off movie. How much you want to bet?
Yeah, they probably will happen.
Like,
I mean, Frozen 2 is already on the way.
Yeah.
Olaf 2. Anyway, guys.
Ta-da.
So, let's get into what's happening in hot stuff. Wait, did you guys have any final thoughts on Deadpool? Do you have any further thoughts on Deadpool, Peter?
Julio's
I love it. Go watch
not
it.
Watching it.
Yeah, fuck Julio. He's never gonna hear this anyway.
Exactly. So.
Anyway, let's get into what's happening in hot stuff.
Oh, thanks. You're kind of cute too.
What's happening, hot stuff?
Anyway, the only news that I think that is substantial right now is that Star Wars The Force Awakens has officially crossed the $2 billion line.
So number 3 worldwide behind Titanic and Avatar?
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Do you think that it was expected to reach the $2 billion line?
I'm disappointed it didn't beat Avatar.
Yeah, I think we all are. I mean,
I really wanted it to be number 1. God damn it. Oh well.
I mean, look, I think among the three of us, do we all think we like Force Awakens as a movie much more than either Titanic or Avatar?
Oh yeah,
I do.
Well, let me think about it. When was the last time I saw Avatar Titanic? Yeah, I probably like it more.
I think Titanic, in terms of a film, is better than Avatar.
Well, yeah.
You know, because it had more substance. You know, it was more because Avatar is more style over substance.
Did you listen to the dialogue in Avatar?
Yeah, it's very, very George Lucas.
I don't know about that bad, but it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best.
I mean, the thing with Avatar...
Avatar 1 is the worst thing in the world since The Phantom Menace.
I think all those 3 movies, though, are very as broad appealing as it can get. Titanic, Avatar, and Star Wars.
That's true.
And that's why they've made the most money, because that's the most people.
For the most part, people admired Avatar, and they there was a certain amount of respect towards it, but I don't know many people who love the movie. And whenever I speak to people and I inform them that Avatar is the highest grossing movie of all time, like I'm literally told, really? You mean of all the movies, that one?
Yeah.
It's funny because I thought...
How the fuck did it get that high?
It's weird how...
3D. It brought 3D back in the game. Now that's why you see every single movie has to be converted to 3D.
It was lightning in a bottle, Avatar. But still, I remember when it came out, Avatar was everything. It was everywhere. People,
everywhere, yeah.
But the weird
And
thing
they kept
is how
building week to week.
it just slipped out of pop culture completely.
Right, yeah.
Like how this movie became the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
And then within a few years just completely slip out
Die.
of pop culture.
But
Titanic is way more well known than Avatar.
But
It's
I would
just
think
so weird.
if we were to blame anybody, that would be on James Cameron because it's his fucking fault.
Oh, he
it's
took
taking
way
this
too
long.
fucking long. Yeah.
They're still about to film the sequel that we're gonna get in 2 years.
He should
back to back.
He should have just stopped with the.
No, he
I
should
think.
not, no, he
I
should
think.
not have
Wait.
stopped.
I think he should have just stopped with Avatar 2 and went with his previous preconception and start up Terminator again. I think
Terminator for me, there needs to be no more movies of Terminator. Okay, at this point, it's just ridiculous.
No, well, look, what he should have done is capitalize on that success and get
Yeah.
a sequel within 2 years.
At
this point, it's near a decade removed when he'll release that. I mean, I respect the ambition that he has to direct 3 movies back to back. That's never been done before. But it's somewhat inexcusable at this point. I mean, that's why it's fallen out of favor. He's taken too long. That it may not matter how great the sequels are. They may be better and good. They should be. Mm-hmm. But it just took way too long at this point. I mean, and that's the same thing people who are Disney fans are. I mean, they hate the notion of Avatar Land. Because what the fuck is it doing in a Disney park?
Yeah.
That's one thing, but then people don't like Avatar. That's 2 strikes already. That's how far removed from pop culture it's been.
Avatar could have really pulled a Star Wars.
That's true.
Because
It could
Star
have
Wars,
if they capitalized on it.
the first movie, everyone saw it. It was like this big phenomenon, but it was a very basic, run-of-the-mill story.
Yep.
If they had popped out a sequel in 3 years...
Yeah.
Though, and I think what he's trying to do now is give you like
We could have had like 3 or 4 at this
big
point.
continuation of the story. And if join James Cameron because he's a great director, and if it would have really resonated with people,
prequel in the works.
I mean the work that
series,
the work that he did with the Abyss,
he would have been begging for an Avatar Land or whatever.
The aliens things that he does, the Terminator films that he does, the Titanic that he did, it was just he is a very competent director.
Look, personally speaking, I am excited.
But he's just a stupid businessman, I
mean, well, James Cameron is very questionable these days. I mean, he had praise for Terminator 5.
Well, okay.
But I think
honestly,
more of I think he had to do it, really.
I think he just doesn't give a shit about Terminator anymore. He's like,
I mean,
whoever wants it, go do whatever you want.
As a Disney Parks fan, I am excited about the potential for Avatar Land and what it could be. I'm not particularly thrilled that it's themed to Avatar, but the technology that was put in place to create Avatar Land, we have to give credit where credit is due. If it weren't for the planning out of that land, we wouldn't have the technology that can give us Star Wars Land. So that is the prototype for Star Wars Land. So I mean, on that aspect, I'm interested to see what it's going to be like. But again, it's like, what justifies waiting a whole decade for the biggest movie of all time to get a sequel out? It just makes no sense.
I mean,
Is it that amazing? I have to wait like 10 years?
It's really unnecessary. And honestly, he's such a good director. It's like, at this point, why are you wasting yourself with Avatar? Like, go do something else. Anything else. You're
Imagine
such a great director. He's like so smart.
Imagine James Cameron in the hands of a Marvel film. Just he's good with the sci-fi elements. He's good with, fantasy. I think that he would be good in a Marvel film, or just...
I think a lot of people would be really good with the Marvel film.
I think James Cameron would be good in anything. I mean,
Yeah.
and sci-fi, Terminator, Alien. I mean, really.
I would much rather he go and make a new original sci-fi property.
Wait, I may have gotten that wrong. Is Alien him or is it Ridley
Aliens.
Scott? Ridley
Aliens.
Scott.
Aliens.
Aliens, okay.
He directed
Ridley
Aliens,
Scott is the
sequel.
first one, and then
Ridley Scott
Aliens is James Cameron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he did Terminator 1 and 2. And then 3. That's where he jumped ship. Or they pushed him out, or I can't remember. And it's been kind of downhill ever since then. So,
Hey, let's have James Cameron do that Deadpool too.
No. You know who's supposed to do a Spider-Man film?
I heard about that.
You know who he was going to have play Dr. Octopus?
Who?
The Governor.
Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dr. Octopus. Spider-Man, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, so maybe not all his ideas are the best. But, wait.
Who would have been as Spider-Man?
What the fuck were we talking about?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Star Wars Episode 1.
Star Wars 8 is already filming, which is pretty fucking incredible.
You see, they have their shit together.
Well, I think that's the great thing about Disney is they will not release a bad product. That's one of the good things if you're under their umbrella. Their whole thing is it's got to at least be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you can question Lone Ranger. You can question the Pirates movies. Not everybody likes those movies.
but see,
But they're successful, though. They make billions of
Yes.
dollars. All of them make like at least $1 billion.
But there are good things that follow under the subcategories of those movies, though.
And John Carter, I actually like John Carter. Even though that was probably like one of the biggest bombs ever for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that film. I thought
Cinderella was
pretty
nice.
good.
It was perfectly good. I mean, Maleficent was a disappointment.
But
But it was the prototype for these new kind of
But
films.
maybe we should add this for the box office thing.
Mm-hmm.
Both Avatar and Titanic made the numbers they have today because they were subsequently re-released for special occasions. Star Wars: The Force Awakens got behind them on its first original theatrical run. You have to believe that at some point Disney's going to want to re-release it, maybe add something new to it, or just for the hell of it, re-release it, and then it has the potential to catch up to them. But it's amazing that it's in its first run, it caught up to Titanic and Avatar, the two biggest movies of all time.
Domestically.
Well, domestic, it's already number one.
I mean, I can see them doing it like a month or so before 8 opens. Maybe release
Or maybe
it
2000...
as a promotional thing, like get ready to see number 8.
2018,
C7.
they could release all the Star Wars movies again for the...
I can't believe how close Episode 8 is.
Well, it's not as close as it used to be.
I know, but it's still
But
relatively
the fact
close.
that it's filming already.
Yeah,
when
but
7.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't May 2018...
And another one following coming up? I don't know.
Isn't May 2018 the 40th anniversary of Star Wars?
2017.
2017.
It came out in 1977.
So they could...
Yes.
So, theoretically speaking, if I were Disney, I would special re-release all the movies and make a
You know
whole
what?
movie for that.
You know what will be so cool next year?
I bet you we have the same idea. Go.
Re-releasing for the 40th anniversary the theatrical release.
Wow.
Yep. That's what I was thinking. You know what? If they don't do it, they're idiots. They would have missed a huge opportunity. I feel.
Dude, do you think how high do you think it's likely to happen, Alexis? You're more at the odds with it.
If I was a businessman and I was running that, heck yeah, I'm doing
Do you realize how much copies would be sold?
Well, I wasn't thinking
Of
as far as
distributing it.
I wasn't thinking of DVDs. I was thinking in theaters.
Yeah.
Oh, re-released it in theaters.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's
kind
what
of
I
the
was.
point,
That was the whole point, to see the original
Please,
theatrical
God, please,
cuts
God,
in a
release
theater.
it like that.
Look. Business-wise, it makes absolute sense to do it.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, Disney will release the original theatrical versions, but I think if they want to do it
Maybe
in theater...
there's a clause George Lucas put,
but here's the thing,
wait
though.
till I die.
If they want to do it in the theater, they're going to have to upscale it.
What do you mean upscale it?
Like the despecialized versions, essentially. Like, make it high definition, but without all the unnecessary edits.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they can do that.
I mean,
But is it likely to happen? And then if they could do it and have to walk a very fine line about, for the 40th anniversary, the original theatrical editions of Star Wars in theaters for a limited time only. Mm-hmm. They could run it that way.
That's the way I'm seeing it.
That's where but I have a hard time seeing them being distributed as DVDs.
Yeah, I have a hard time too.
Because I'm pretty sure George Lucas was like, I'm sorry, but the special editions and the prequels, you can't change them. They're canon. That's what it is.
But they don't have to say they're canon. They could...
They don't have to.
The same way,
Line.
When the specialized versions came out, they were just called the special edition.
Exactly.
But then when they were released again, they took the special edition off, but they remained the same.
And not just that, but I'm sure they're probably going to rerun The Force Awakens. And why the hell not? I mean, you watch the original prequel, The Force Awakens, makes more money, maybe it catches Titanic or Avatar. I'm sure they're going to do something huge. I mean, I know it's a kind of a stretch. Maybe in subsequent
because for a fan like me, I have the despecialized edition.
Illegally?
Not
illegally.
Not illegally.
Where did you get it from?
Not from the official site.
What site? Star Wars.
The Star Wars Harmy site. You know, and so I got it from there.
You're gonna get it taken down.
Huh?
You're gonna get it taken down.
Yep.
But anyway, thank you for that.
No, you're welcome.
But really, who listens to this?
The one person who did is the runner of that fucking website. He's gonna be like, "You bitch." I'm gonna send Liam Neeson after you.
But anyway, it'll be really cool. I mean, I have my little burned disc, despecialized edition, but it would be kind of nice. It's the principle of the thing.
I would say it's a good business venture. To do.
No, it is, but
no buts.
No, this is a big but.
Oh,
if they release the original theatrical versions on Blu-ray,
is it Greg's butt?
Oh God,
we'll edit that.
If they do release the original theatrical versions on Blu-ray,
yes,
all of us will get them.
Obviously.
But But if they do that, who's ever going to want to get the special editions? That's losing money on what they could make on special edition releases.
Money.
Because all the stuff that they're
include them in the pack and you tack on an extra $100 on it.
Well, if you're putting it that way, then yes. But I mean,
that's the way they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And also all the money that they're making on the original editions, it'll be substituting for the funds that they would have been getting for the special editions.
I mean, you have to keep in mind there are fans who do like the special editions. I don't agree with. I think the worst one was probably A New Hope. There was just so many stupid changes, but and
it's poorly. I mean, it I wouldn't have minded so much if it was well rendered.
I'm gonna be honest. There's only one change that's kept me from getting like the new Blu-ray editions.
No,
it's the no. It's when Darth Vader says no at the end of
no.
Like, yeah, that's what I heard in the theater during Deadpool. Like a small parrot dying.
That's what you heard?
Yes. It sounded like the coffee was ready.
Oh my God. Alright guys, we're done for today. That was a good podcast with you guys.
You're done, aren't you?
I'm done. If you haven't seen it already, go see it. Deadpool. No. See it once, see it twice, see it with your grandma. You know, see it with the blind person. I don't care. I'm Kyle.
I'm Alexis.
And for the first time,
I'm Alexis.
That's Peter.
Oh.
And this is Red Spotlight Entertainment. We'll see you later.
Rhymes the disease. Meet the cure. Okay, not the cure, but more like a topical ointment that reduces swelling and itch. Hi, Tom.
Just call me angel.
Oh, fuck me.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.